Hello everyone, this is Akhier, and we're back in the SCP Foundation! Hoorah! Today we are going to be doing SCP-8209, the Repairing the World. Let's see. Now you notice this seems like quite short, but we've got a little fold out here, so we'll just read this current one, which is Item number 8209, Containment Class Esoteric, Secondary Class Ticonderoga. I could go and read what Ticonderoga means again, and in other cases I probably would, but the fold-out one makes it not really necessary, because this is technically how the SCP currently is, and we'll note it, as SCP-8209 solely impacts individuals already behind the veil, the afterlife, no incremental containment procedures are necessary. Description: SCP-8209 is an anomalous phenomena commencing on January 16th, 2021, in which individuals capable of reincarnation uniformly experience a deep sense of bliss upon returning to life. And it's got Disruption Class Dark, Risk Class Notice. I have no clue what any of that means. I did a little looking, but didn't look too hard. Anyway, I have read this one before in the past, so I sort of remember it. And I did take a quick look over it, but here we go. Because it's a lot more than just that. Level 5, Top Secret. Containment Class Neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. As of January 16th, 2021, no mechanism remains by which the legal code of Habakkuk 2, North Dakota, might be manipulated to produce anomalous results. As such, SCP 8209 is considered neutralized. Archived Special Containment Procedures. Active December 2020. Residents of Habakkuk, North Dakota, have been told that due to a legal technicality stemming from a quirk in the town charter, Habakkuk is technically blocked from obtaining state aid for its school district. Oh no. To resolve the issue, it's kind of hard to get funding for your school at the moment anyway. To resolve the issue, they have been told a new town is being established under the same name and legal code and with essentially identical boundaries. Because of the onerous paperwork associated with dissolving a municipality, the former town is to be renamed Habakkuk 2, and its limit redefined to solely encompass 100 square yards of brownfield in the town's outlying woodlands. In fact, the above measures are being undertaken to limit SCP 8209's area of effect and permit complete Foundation control over the drafting of municipal laws to which SCP 8209 is subject. After a new town charter is obtained for Habakkuk, the former Habakkuk Municipal Code, now retitled the Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code, is to be rewritten to reduce the number of seats on the Habakkuk 2 City Council from 12 to 13. To ensure that the Foundation holds voting control over Habakkuk 2 City Council, the only 3 individuals permitted to officially reside in Habakkuk 2 are Doctors Oded Shimoni, Shimuni. I took Japanese lessons, and this seems like it's at least Eastern name adjacent. Shimoni. I'm going to go with Shimoni. Golem Hazrat and Courtney Spangler. Snap elections will be held for all city council seats due to the loss of Habakkuk 2 residency of all prior members of the city council following the change in town boundaries. After these snap elections, the roster of members of Habakkuk 2 city council will consist of Doctors... it is repeating it. Doctors Oded Shimoni, Golem Hazrat, and Courtney Spangler, with Oded Shimoni holding the chairmanship. After Habakkuk 2 City Council is elected, tests will be held to ensure the continuing efficiency of SCP 8209, identifying its limits, and test its practicality for assisting in containment of other anomalies. If successful, SCP 8209 may be utilized to help discipline humanoid anomalies. Description: SCP 8209 was an anomalous phenomena that caused any individual who violated a city law of Habakkuk, North Dakota, to instantaneously and subjectively experience the maximal punishment prescribed by the relevant law. Individuals subject to this effect would forget their experience immediately after its completion, though psychological impacts typically remained. Important detail. Water break. Stay hydrated. Discovery. Although precise identification of SCP 8209's anomalies' relationship with the Habakkuk Municipal Code required several months of clandestine testing, the initial anomaly was flagged when, at a Great Plains spanning psychiatric conference, one attendee mentioned to Foundation operatives that many of her patients suffered a brief, deep sense of loss whenever they drive through Habakkuk. As the portion of the freeway that passes through Habakkuk is a known speed trap, and the Habakkuk Municipal Code technically permits temporary confinement as a punishment for speeding, these individuals are presumed to have instantaneously suffered the subjective effect of being fined and briefly imprisoned. Addendum. Testing logs, as well as relevant project team discussions and write-ups of the minutes of City Council meetings, are presented below. Due to their significance in provoking Incident 01.16, which led directly to the neutralization of SCP 8209, communications between Dr. Shimoni, Director Akhier, Rabbi Izarakar Leve, and or unnamed HR personnel are presented contemporaneously. As in, we get to read it all in time. December 12th testing. Testing log. Dr. Shimoni places a debit card with $1,100 specifically upon it atop a table and instructs D14328 to steal it. Of note, stealing a debit card with $1,001 or more upon it is a Class C felony under North Dakota law, carrying a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a fine of $10,000. State and federal law is explicitly grandfathered into the Habakkuk Municipal Code. D14328 complies. Immediately upon picking up the card, D14328 drops the card, stares into space, and begins weeping. 5 minutes later, once D14328 has composed himself, he is asked if he knows why he was weeping. He says he does not. Dr. Shimoni places the debit card with $10,001 upon it atop a table and suggests that D14328 steal it. Stealing a debit card with $10,001 or more upon it is a Class B felony under North Dakota law, carrying a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine. Immediately upon picking up the card, D14328 collapses upon the ground and is either unwilling or unable to communicate for the following 10 minutes. When addressed with his D number, he reacts with confusion. D number. Dr. Akhier. Dr. Akhier. I foresee names that I will not be able to pronounce so well. Sender, Dr. Oded Shimoni. Not sure if you read the logs from this morning yet. I think we have the data we need, don't you think? Just run the tests, Oded. I've got enough paperwork to do already. Dr. Shimoni places a debit card with $50,001 upon it atop a table and suggests that D14328 steal it. Stealing a debit card with $50,001 or more upon it is a Class A felony under North Dakota law, carrying a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and a $20,000 fine. D14328 has not resumed speaking, but shakes his head and refuses to approach the debit card. Reasonable response, I think. Dr. Akhier, sender, Dr. Oded Shimoni. I said down his name, and I'm still getting it wrong. He won't approach the card. Tell him we'll terminate him if he doesn't. With respect, Director, that's a serious problem. There's a serious problem with that. If I had a nickel for all your serious problems, I wouldn't need a pension. That would be illegal under the Habakkuk Municipal Code. I'm not going to do that, or I'd be too traumatized to write up a half-decent log. That's why I've been suggesting that he takes the card instead of instructing him outright. How do you put italics in your text? Tell me later, that's not important. Look, I'm not going to have one of my top people outwitted by a D class, much less a nonverbal one. He wasn't nonverbal yesterday or this morning. And last night it was dark, but the sun's out now, isn't it? Looks like Habakkuk's municipal boundaries are exactly demarcated by a little dirt road a half-mile or so from where you're standing. Check that, of course, but if you take him there, you can stand outside Habakkuk and have him cross the road to take the card. You're outside, he's inside. Clean test. Dr. Shimoni places a debit card with $50,001 upon it atop a table, crosses the dirt road, and instructs D14328 to steal it upon pain of termination. Stealing a debit card with $50,001 or more upon it is a Class A felony under North Dakota law, carrying a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and $20,000 fine. D14328 picks up the card and collapses to the ground, assuming an expression that Shimoni describes as hollow. Shimoni crosses the road to help him up. Upon being helped up, D14328 begins walking in an awkward circle, having apparently developed a slight limp, presumably due to a lack of exercise in his past 20 subjective years of life. After 30 seconds, he focuses his gaze on Dr. Shimoni and charges at him, apparently intending to seize his sidearm. Shimoni and D14328 topple to the earth. However, immediately upon making contact with Dr. Shimoni, D14328 goes limp and begins weeping uncontrollably, on the assumption that he ideated a desire to kill Dr. Shimoni during his 20 years of subjective imprisonment. He is presumed to have technically committed a premeditated act of attempted murder, which carries a potential life sentence under North Dakota law. Actual analysis suggests that he experienced approximately 40 years of imprisonment, following by subjective death. Fun. I'm going to note, the previous one says testing, whether that's or checking whether the road's actually a thing. I'd want to test it with something a little lower stakes. Like, maybe there's like something stupid. Also, crossing the road in to help him. I'd also want to test to make sure that doesn't instantly put you, like, having broken some other rule by forcing them to do, thinking a little too deeply on it. Presumably they did it, or it's not a problem. Director Akhier, sender, Dr. Oded Shinomi. Done. Shoot, you turned that log around quickly. I hope he didn't mess you up too badly. Are you alright? He gave up immediately upon making contact. Pretty terrifying, but I've gotten torn up worse in rugby. But I don't know if I've ever seen a more broken person in my life. Don't give it too much concern. A lot of project teams just need warm bodies for chemical testing or whatnot. Also, no idea what they actually do, but the 3000 team is always on the hunt for D-Class, and the only requirements they have is that the person be physically alive and not brain dead. I think your boy will still fit the bill. I can't say my primary concern was about the potential for inconvenience. Right. I know it gives you warm fuzzies to go for the bat. I know it gives you the warm fuzzies to go to bat for these people, but the only reason they're not boiling forever in the void between universes is because we're so damn good at containing things. If we focus too much on the costs, we get myopic, we get cold feet, and we can't afford that. So when you hold stuff up, you're not helping the world, you're just helping yourself feel better about your place in it. And frankly, Oded, that's a selfish act. We've had this conversation before, and I don't want to start an argument about it. What resolve? Get some sleep. We're bringing you your next test subject in the morning. Also, a few guards. We want to ensure your safety if this happens again. You want to run the same tests? You want the same test run? Never mind what I want, but that is what the specs say, the ones that got approved. You don't think we can declare an end to initial testing? Oded, you wrote those specs yourself. Well, I think if he wrote the specs, he should be able to determine it's time to change them a little bit. It sounds more like the director wants to stick to it just for a lack of paperwork instead of any actual reason. December 13th testing. The write-up for December 13 testing is omitted for purpose of brevity, being too similar to December 12 testing to justify inclusion. For access, please contact Director Callie's office. Results from December 12 and 13 testing were sufficiently convincing to revoke the establishment of a new town charter, New Habakkuk, formerly Habakkuk, the renaming of Old Habakkuk to Habakkuk II, and the restriction of its town limits to a single patch of field with 3 inhabitants, and the election of Dr. Shimoni, as well as Doctors Gulam Hazrat and Courtney Spangler to the Habakkuk II City Council. In the interest of urgency and to prevent disproportionate resource usage, the Foundation Legal Department declined to perform a full rewrite of the Habakkuk II Municipal Code. However, the explicit grandfathering in of federal and state law was eliminated to prevent any body besides Habakkuk II City Council from influencing the legal code that governs SCP 8209. The above processes were performed between December 16th and December 28th of 2020, during which time all SCP 8209 testing was suspended. During this time, Dr. Shimoni sought out spiritual support from Rabbi Issachar Levi, a chaplain at Site 19. I have a little idea how this goes down, so this is kind of with a bit of foresight to it. However, I also just think this in general about how they did this. It's a little sloppy. Oh yeah, just to save resources, we're not going to have our lawyers go through it. It's fair enough. You can literally just be all previous rules are defunct. These are the new rules. Fair enough. However, you are basically saying, oh yeah, the only people that can change it are these 3 people. Lamp shading. Lamp shading. Rabbi Issachar Levi. Sender, Dr. Oded Shimoni. Shalom. Oh. There's probably going to be words in here that I will not be able to pronounce. I was going to say qualify, and technically there's nothing saying I couldn't say the words. However, able is more realistic. I just won't be able to pronounce them because I don't know how. So we'll see where this goes. Shalom. I know we haven't really spoken, but my name's Oded. I'm based out of Site 48, and I could really use a little advice. Sure thing. What can I help? No, I can't use that for a religious person. Sure thing. What? Let's not do a voice. Sure thing. What can I help you with? It's going to sound a little bit silly. I don't think I'm an especially good Jew, or good person more generally. Well, Oded, it won't surprise you to learn that that's a discussion I have extremely frequently, says the rabbi that works for the SCP Foundation. The truth is that it's a little bit easier for us than for others. For members of religions that teach that people are saved by grace, by faith, then the things that we're exposed to every day can really test their relationship with their religion, because once you lose your faith, it's hard to find it again. As for us, we have a list of We have a list of myths. This is one of the words I can't pronounce. It sounds like it's a list. Or no, rules. It's a list of rules or conditions. We have a list of rules and conditions that demand concrete satisfaction. We have obligations that we owe to ourselves and to others. Obligations that Hashem commands us to fulfill. For the Kabbalists, those terms and conditions facilitate the reunion of and for the rest of us, they're simply our purest mode of prayer. You don't need to actively seek your faith again. If you've lost it, it'll come back. For us, what you are is what you do. I mean, that's very sweet, but the things I do are exactly what I'm concerned about. Can you tell me more about the acts you refer to as the things you do? It's nothing I'd really like to get into. So what do you want to talk about? I guess I'd like to know what... They're censoring God? I guess I'd like to know what God thinks of me as I am. You are fully and entirely the recipient of Hashem's infinite love, as is all mankind. You know what I meant. Wow, I very much cannot speak to that. Try your best. Have you considered speaking with a therapist as well? I have, but I'd like to finish this first. In that case, I think we'll have to talk a little bit more about what you call the things you do. The good news is that the Yom Kippur is in September this year. Redemption for sins against Hashem is freely granted upon repentance. Sins against man? You do not let up. Can't say I'm used to drawing a flowchart on this. Any odds of getting an apology accepted by those you hurt? No. Quite low. Two of them are completely non-communicative as a result of what I did to them. And that's from this week. This week. A critical mass of sages would probably consider that non-ideal. Gehenna non-ideal? Some sages say that a lot of people spend a short time in Gehenna. I guess they'd say the same about you. But, again, it is not something I or anyone living can tell you for sure. Fun. Maybe that's for the best. I wouldn't want to be forgiven too easily. That said, Oded, the afterlife is not a core focus of our tradition, and the idea of any Jew being driven by fear of hellfire is a little repugnant. It sounds like you just want someone to tell you that you deserve to be punished. You're probably right. I carry a lot of guilt with me, and every once in a while it reminds me it's there. I'll just be sitting down and it'll hit me. If you're trying to get closer to your faith, I'd love to have a longer conversation about getting involved with Jewish life at the Foundation. Obviously, we hold regular services at Site 19, and you're free to join virtually. You can always opt into kosher fare if you decide that's something you're interested in too. We can also add you to the list for Passover safe rations. Send over a home Shabbat kit. put you on the Chala list, and or ensure that you're adequately supplied with ritual items, apples and honey on Rosh Hashanah. That, even a little plastic Groger on Purim. If you're not in the Mezuzah, that program already, I can get one to you for installation. Since Site 48 doesn't have a Jewish chaplain, I'm authorized to cover your transit to and from Site 19 for Sedar, as well as a one-day trip during Sukkot to Sheikh the Lol Av. Lola. Probably pronounced differently. I'm sorry. This is not my tradition or faith, and so the words are new to me. But you seem more concerned with incorporating Jewish values into your 9 to 5 directly. Well, yes, because that's part of my day during which I break people's minds. Honestly, and I know that keeping your hands clean here is impossible. But there's a lovely quote from Pirkei Avot. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. Keep looking out for the folks under you, D-class included, as much as you can. If you're ever on a project that you might consider completely irredeemable, it might be a career hit, but you can often transfer out. And just remember, you are loved. You and everyone else still have a share of the world to come, and you remain both completely able to do good and utterly bound to do so. That's kind of a pat answer, don't you think? Frankly, Oded, if you want to self-flagellate, that's your right as an American, but you don't obtain redemption through suffering. You obtain it through repentance. You obtain it through repairing the world. Name drop, repairing the world. Water break. To Site 48 Director Akhier at that web address, from Dr. Oded Shimoni at that web address. Subject, rotation request. Dear Director Akhier, I trust that this email finds you well. I'm reaching out to formally request a rotation off of the SCP 8209 project team. SCP 8209 is nothing short of subjective torture, and I'm deeply uncomfortable at the prospect of more rounds of testing of an effect that I'm fairly confident that we understand. In truth, I'm also disturbed by the prospect that SCP 8209 will ultimately be used to discipline humanoid anomalies. Quick breakout, humanoid anomalies does not mean it's some weird monster necessarily. That's just the dehumanization of, say, a regular human that is anomalous, or has something happen to them that is anomalous, thus making them part of the anomaly. It can also be monsters, mind you, that are humanoid in appearance or demeanor. However, it can literally just be Joe Smo off the street over there, and he happens to have, a magic meteorite fall and hit him in his head, and he survives, and it's oh, it's anomalous that he survived with half his brain gone. Literally half the brain gone, and it's the brain stem that's gone. Ooh, anomaly. We keep him in a cage over there. Hope he's happy. But yeah, usage of SCP 8209 for disciplinary purposes is as flagrantly unethical as the use of a stockade or of an electric collar. If its mechanisms of pain were not invisible, the obscenity of its deployment would be obvious to all. In sum, working for the SCP 8209 project team is utterly irreconcilable with my moral and spiritual commitments, and I would like to leave as soon as practicable. All the best, Dr. Oded Shimoni. Now, I will note, while it is a thing to apply punishment for what you have done, the first thing I thought of was not we could say, you get it by disobeying people, you take a year of prison. Oops. Keep all those anomalous humanoids in check. The thing I thought was use it for therapy. Seriously. It would still be entirely unethical. But if breaking a rule where the rule was, I don't know, something stupid like saying hi when the director tells you don't say hi. Red light, green light, follow the rules. Ooh, you broke the rules. Something stupid like that where you control it. And then the punishment being you get therapy for a year. It's like specifically written out, you live a normal life, but every week you get a day where you just sit down with a therapist and they work through your trauma. Like I said, highly unethical in the same amount that I'd say using it for punishment. Actually, the punishments they're doing right now, it's just punishments. Using it for therapy, especially if then they went the opposite way, it's like therapy as punishment, actual punishment, the amount that is unethical is magnitude more. Because it's the equivalent, like you could literally make a rule where it's like X equal Y, or break X to get Y, and Y is you get therapy until X, Y, or Z happens. Where it's like until you feel actual genuine remorse, or until you realize, yes, I should follow everything the Skip Foundation wants me to do. Because there's no end point to that. And all they have to do is include in the rules, like, during which time you get complete regimen of life-extending medicine and stuff. And it's like, admittedly, non-continuity of the SCP Foundation, wherein technically it is possible, well, I know later on another skip is mentioned, but technically it's entirely possible that this could be the literal only anomalous, and they have a bunch of other stuff, but it's not actually real stuff. You could make a world where this is the only skip. So, there is that. But yeah, I'm getting a little too in the grass about this for something that doesn't matter anymore. Moving on to Dr. Oded Shimoni from Site 48 Director. Subject, rotation request. Oded, I hope that Emma email felt good to write. Unfortunately, that's not a request. Oh wait, this is this guy. Oded, I hope that email felt good to write. Unfortunately, that's not a request we can accommodate. My understanding of the Habakkuk 2 City Council is legally mandated to meet January 1st with follow-up testing planned. I eagerly await your finding. Akhier. Legally required to meet. I wonder what the punishment is. First council meeting and subsequent testing, January 1st. Council members Dr. Oded Shimoni, Dr. Ghulam Hazrat, and Dr. Courtney Spangler enter the Innerman City Council chamber defined as a 100-square-foot plot at the center of Habakkuk 2. Shimoni. I call this meeting of the Habakkuk 2 City Council to order. We have reached quorum. Courtney, should you talk me through what we've approved today? Spangler replies, the long and short of it is that we don't know how, if at all, death is experienced within Skip 8209. That is, whether a punishment that would be fatal in the real world is experienced as such. If people experience a loss of sensation at the moment of subjective death, then two identical fatal punishments would be expected to have identical responses. If they don't, they keep experience even beyond the typical point of death, then it might vary. Shimoni responds, does the second one have to be quite so long? Like, wouldn't we be able to tell the difference between 2 minutes and an hour? Spangler replies, I suppose we would, but people can have very different responses, so the difference in duration would have to be so immense that it would overpower any plausible difference in reaction to the same duration. Shomei says, "Can I put it to just a day then? I really don't see why we need to do 3 months." Which, admittedly, my first thought of this is like, oh, they're going to have them punished for a year. It's like, apparently I'm more extreme than researchers at the Skip Foundation. That's not a good thing. Spangler replies, "Sure, for the chairman, anything." Hazret comes in with, "All right, let me annotate my copy real quick. Oded, would this language work for you?" Shumei checks it over and, "Yeah, fine." Hazret, "Courtney?" Spangler says, "Sure, works for me as well." I should do less. I added a word there just because it made it flow better speaking it. I'm going to not do that. Shimoni, we will now vote on Councilman Spangler's legislation. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Aye. Hazret. Aye. Spangler. Aye. Shimoni. Carried. Not sure we're following Robert's rules exactly, but it seems like the old city council didn't either. Hazret. By the way, Oded, I have a really strange testing idea that I haven't fully written up the enabling legislation for, but I don't want to wait until February 1st. Is there some route to hold a special session? Because I can draft it right here, but I'd rather not keep everyone in for an hour while I finalize it and get permissions. Shimoni, yeah, no problem. I think I saw something in the rules about this. 1 second. Okay, here it is. As I have the backing of 1/3 or more of the Habakkuk 2 City Council and am the chairman of the Habakkuk 2 City Council, I invoke my right under the municipal law to schedule a special city council session with 1 or more days of notice. Glum, when works with you? Or for you? Hazret, do you want to go with noon on the 13th? I'll send a draft over next week. You'll see why I'm so excited. Spangler, works for me. Shimoni, yeah, works for me as well. Okay, I schedule a city council session to be held at 12 p.m. on January 13th. I move that we adjourn the city council session. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Aye. Spangler, aye. Hazret, nay. What? I like y'all's company so much. Spangler, what a sweetie. Shimoni, carried. Okay, let's get some lunch. In the January 1st City Council session, the following sentences were added to the Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code. Consumption of 1 jelly bean within Habakkuk 2 is punishable by full submersion in water for 120 seconds. Consumption of more than 5 jelly beans with Habakkuk 2 within a 2-minute period is punishable by full submersion in water for 24 hours. The one thing I'm going to note, picking holes in this the story itself, I don't think this would work because we saw previously in the test when the D-class went and attacked Shimoni, the second he touched him, he went out of it. Which means that if you do a thing with the intent, it's going to instantly punish you if that was the thing. And here, it's when you consume 1 jelly bean, you get a punishment. When you consume 5 in a certain time period, you get another punishment. So in theory, you eat 1 jelly bean, you should just get the punishment for 1 jelly bean right away. And then you're getting down to splitting brass tacks of what does it mean to eat 5. Like, because if you have 5 in your hand and you try to shove them in your mouth, but 1 goes in first, or even just like 4 go in first, and there's still the 1 still outside, are you eating them at that point? Or have you just decided to store them in your mouth? Also, another thing I noticed, it's very open-ended. Or I wouldn't even say open-ended. I'd more say that there's no limit on it. If a if AD personnel in Habakkuk 2 manage to get a tester or a guard to swallow a jelly bean, like maybe they're like some world-class like jelly bean throwing champion, like poo, and it's like, and then you get the subjective punishment of death by drowning. Yeah, that's fun. So I'd have it specifically like, if you were told not to eat jelly beans, and then you eat a jelly bean within the next hour, if you only won submersion for 120 seconds, 120 seconds, if you eat 5 within 2 minutes, then you get the other punishment. That's just me nitpicking. But that, honestly, that's part of what the SCP stuff is going to be. It's just like exploring what they are. And this is me doing so. Testing log. D28416 consumed 1 jelly bean and immediately collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily. She then lost consciousness for a period of approximately 5 seconds, presumably due to her high levels of stress. Upon coming to, she had no explanation for her prior behavior. However, her voice has remained raspy for reasons believed to be psychosomatic. A portion of this testing log has been excised at the request of Director Calais. I'm feeling an itch in my own throat, which means more water. No interview is likely to be completed for D32181, as she has not yet emerged from a coma and is unlikely to maintain verbal or communicative capacity. Surgeries are continuing and are especially to partially mitigate self-inflicted damage sustained to her eyes, throat, and hands after jelly bean consumption. I was expecting to like say they ate it and then this, but I'm going to assume 328 or 3218 was the one they had test eating 5 jelly beans. Post-testing commentary. Spangler. Big day for this project. We are essentially unbound by the limits of the human body. I generally don't know of any other tool at the Foundation's disposal with this kind of flexibility. Really? Of course, once again, going back to the previous thing where it's like, this could technically be the only skip in existence and everything else the thing does is just smoke and mirrors. But this one's real. So, like, whenever you read these, you have to remember that unless they directly call out another skip, and this article specifically calls out another skip, because even if another article happens to call back to this one, that does not confirm its existence within this one. So, this could just be as far as they know. So, as far as Spangler knows, this is the most flexible tool the Foundation, as she knows it, has. That could be wrong either because other skips exist that are more flexible that she does not know of. And the Foundation does like to silo off information, so it's entirely possible. It is also possible that she is correct, and that any other SCP that would be more flexible just do not exist in this specific continuity. That's the word. Hazrat. For me, the cool part is that we get to use this for modeling. If we want to know the psychic implications of entering a weird portal, we can just say, hey, if you watch more than 50 frames of Mary Poppins, you will be punished by entering this weird portal. Spangler. Do we know for sure that Skip 8209 can force a brain to subjectively experience something it can't reliably simulate? Hazrat. No, I think at some point we should write a law that says something like, if you blankety blank, you'll be punished with whatever's written on this piece of paper, on the piece of paper in the large velvet hat. And the piece of paper says something like, you'll be forced to receive $10,000 or something. But the D-Class won't know that. So then if the reactions are uniformly positive despite having no way to reliably simulate, their experience in advance will know that we're dealing with a predictive tool. Spankler. Also, the more I think about it, those D-Class didn't know about the laws we just passed, but they obviously still were impacted, so my guess is that your bill would work. Is that what you're passing on the 13th? Hazard. No. The legislation I'm writing is going to blow your socks off. Spangler. Excited. By the way, Oded, are you good? You've been pretty quiet. Shimai. Yeah, I'm good. Hazard. Poor guy probably ate a jelly bean. To Site 48 Director, aha. From Dr. Shimoni. Subject. Notification of upcoming departure. 'Cause you didn't let him transfer. Dear Director, sorry to trouble you on a Friday evening. I'm reaching out to give my 2 weeks' notice. My last day will be January 15th. It has become clear that my work at the SCP Foundation is ethically untenable. I know that we have a second City Council meeting scheduled for January 13th. At that meeting, I intend to resign my seat on the City Council, with my resignation taking effect within a few days. This will give you a few days to select a replacement and have them become a new resident of Habakkuk 2 in time to run in the special election. I consider my time at the Foundation to have been the most fascinating and enlightening experience of my life thus far, and I'm deeply grateful to you and the rest of Site 48 team. Though I know I should know how to pronounce this word. Amnesticized. That still doesn't sound right, but that's what I found in a little bit of internet searching, so we'll go with that. Though I know I'll be anesthetized, I'm already flubbing it. Upon my exit, I hope to remember these years as a happy, wistful mystery, and though I cannot ask any of you to stay in touch, I do hope that you will remember me with fondness as well. All the best, Oded. Record purged. Sender, Director Akhier. Good morning. This is Site 48 Director Akhier. During my orientation, I was told to reach out to you if and only... Oh, wait, this is this guy. I don't think I'm doing a good job keeping a steady, voice. Good morning. This is Site 48 Director Akhier. During my orientation, I was told to reach out to you if and only if I had an employee who intended to quit their job at the Foundation because they considered their work to be in violation of their moral or religious beliefs. I've reached out about Dr. Oded Shimoni. Please let me know what information to send over. Good morning, Director Kelly. We already have all the information we need. That's a little concerning, but appreciated. He showed you how to use italics. That's less appreciated. To Dr. Oded Shimoni from Site 48 Director Akhier. Subject, re-notification of upcoming department. Oded, we'll be sorry to see you go. Just to check the box, you'll be having an exit interview with an HR license from Site 19 on January 15th. I've taken the liberty of putting a 1-hour block on your calendar that day. Happy trails, Akhier. Yes, you love it when your strange Foundation hiding in the shadows of the world mark off blocks of 1-hour things in the calendar. Transcript. Council members Dr. Oded Shimoni, Dr. Golem... I pronounce it a lot better. Dr. Golem Hazret, and Dr. Courtney Spangler enter the Interim City Council chambers, defined as a 100-square-foot plot at the center of Habakkuk 2. Shimoni. I call this meeting of Habakkuk 2 City Council to order. We have reached quorum. Golem, I know you requisitioned a D-class in advance of this meeting. What I don't know is why he's still in Fargo. Hazret, you didn't read the legislation? Don't worry. a lot of politicians don't read the legislation they sign off on. That's a bad thing. Spangler, I didn't either, truthfully. Shimoni, it's been a busy week. Hazard, it's one sentence and the write-up is 2 pages. But it's fine. I can talk you through it. Hazard, so it occurred to me, we keep writing bills that apply within Habakkuk 2, right? Spangler, municipal laws are almost tautologically written to apply within their relevant municipality. No? Hazard, sure, you know that. I know that. I was just thinking, what if nobody told the anomaly? Shimoni reading the document. Oh, this could be a real normalcy risk. We de facto create a new anomaly. From now on, if this works, then if anyone satisfies this fact pattern anywhere, they'll whisk themselves behind the veil. The veil? I thought the veil was the afterlife. Spangler, I don't think that'll be a problem. I don't imagine that anyone's ever satisfied this fact pattern before, or that they ever will again. For hygiene purposes, though, Gollum, would you be willing to repeal this at the next meeting? Hazard, yes, if I'm still on the city council. I figure that once I win the Foundation star for this, I'm sure I'll keep being able to get away for these meetings. Shimoni, too busy with the O5s? Hazard, yeah, and signing autographs. Shimoni, on the topic of turnover, though, we do need to talk about the elephant in the room. Hazard, ugh. Shimoni, Courtney, I'm giving you the chairmanship when I depart. The language you'll be using to call the special election should be in Section 3 of Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code. You need to call it within 10 days of my departure and hold it within 3 weeks. I know Akhier is going to want some time to find a new person, so just let me know what day you want my resignation to be effective upon. Spangler, I've got a pretty busy week and a half coming up. I know quorum is all but 2, so I'm not too worried about needing a third person going into the February 1st meeting. Want to make your resignation effective on January 20th? Sure, works. I officially announced my resignation effective on January 20th at 12 p.m. Upon my resignation, Councilwoman Spangler will assume the chairpersonship of the Habakkuk 2 City Council. Spangler, that's all it takes. Shimoni, that's all it takes. Spangler, we're gonna miss you. Shimoni, appreciate. Can't say it's mutual since I'll be anesthetized to hell, but I have enjoyed working with you both. Hazard, that's flat out depressing. But before the person you are now enters oblivion, let's pass this bill, all right? Shimoni, no edits for me. We will now vote on Councilman Hazret's legislation. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Aye. Hazret. Aye. Spangler. Aye. Carried. I move that we adjourn the special city council session. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Aye. Spangler. Aye. Hazret. Aye. Shimoni. Carried. Gollum, let's see what your man in Fargo can do. In the January 13th special city council session, the following sentences were added to the Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code. Globally, watching any set of 50 frames from the Disney cartoon Steamboat Willie, consuming more than 2 ounces of meat from a sheep's head, intentionally imitating a chicken, and urinating directly into a conch shell within a 60-second period is punishable by being told the funniest joke you've ever heard. That's an amusing thing. Testing log. In Fargo, North Dakota, while a 60-second timer runs, D43222 rapidly consumes several mouthfuls of meat from a sheep's head as a 6-second block of Steamboat Willie plays. After chewing and swallowing the final mouthful, he hurriedly makes brock brock noises, retrieves a conch shell from a Nebra table, and looks around for the bathroom. Finding none, and with 10 seconds remaining on the clock, he drops his pants and underwear and urinates into the conch. with the contents spilling onto the testing room floor. Immediately, he begins laughing uproariously for 11 seconds, stops, looks around confusedly, hurriedly drops the conch, and pulls his pants and underwear back up. Post-testing commentary. Shimoni. I no longer believe that this particular law has the capacity to be a threat to normalcy. Hazret. We could just end murder, right? It'd take some fiddling around with, but doesn't this mean we could basically end murder in an instant? Spangler. Oded. Not complaining, but it's insane that you're handing over this project. Shimoni. It's gonna be a whole new world. So, the concept of using this to end murder, fair enough. However, there are a lot of ways that this could go bad, and a lot of ways where if you aren't careful with the wording, and by careful I mean not just lawyer, but like super genius, like anomalously intelligent levels of lawyering would need to be done for me to even want to consider this at all. And I would not trust, as the foundation, I would not trust such a lawyer. Honestly, I would not trust a lawyer or anyone to write such a law. The second this is revealed as the foundation, I would want to shut it down. Not necessarily make it so you can't use it like what happens, but like just this would be put in the a little black box and kept to the side as an emergency. This is how we fix things when it goes badly, so badly that we can't do anything. But not my place. Fire Suppression Department. Classified. The following information is restricted to FSD internal affairs. Unauthorized access is strictly forbidden. If you have accessed this section without authorization, close your session now and remain where you are. We know how to find you. Incident ZBDA 34. Dr. Oded Shimoni, transcript of interview, 15th of January 2021. Shimoni, I don't want to get too in the weeds in this. The truth is, I just get tired of hurting people. I had a really good conversation with a chaplain from Site 19. Well, I don't know he'd describe it that way, but I found it helpful. I'm not arrogant enough to think that my leaving will make anything better for anyone. Honestly, Director Kelly might be right. It might be a little bit selfish, but I've made my peace with that. I've spent years dragging my soul through the mud, and I don't want to do it anymore. Record purged. Tell me more about this conversation. Shimoni, I hopped on the line, and I just wore this poor guy down until he said, Hey, Oded, you're probably going to Gehenna. Record purged. Apologies, but what's Gehenna? Shimoni, it's like purgatory, but worse. Judaism doesn't really have hell, but it's a place you're purified before you enter the world to come. It's not a pleasant place, but that's only half the point. I realized that if I looked at my life with clarity, no rationalization, not pulling any punches, I was just so far from what I believed in, and this struck me as the only way back home. Record purged. Understood. And you genuinely, literally believe in such a place? Which, they work at a place where literal magic happens, where anomalous stuff is the whole point of it. Having someone believe in their faith when people already believe in their faith, when you have literal magic, you believe in that? How could you believe in that? As you're about to make him forget everything about working on a project where the municipal code of a town literally makes you go through the maximum punishment possible in an instant and then makes you forget it. Ooh, I just thought of another test that you could do, because you do forget it, but what if part of the punishment is, no, you have to remember it? That'd be fun. Shimoni, I suppose that I do? Record purge. Shimoni, but to tell you the truth, I don't see what the point of that question was. Record purge. I don't want to get off track. I was just a bit surprised. Shimoni, with respect, I'm quite used to having my beliefs belittled, and I'd rather not continue that on my way out the door. Record purged. Clearly the question went over poorly. I wasn't trying to mock you. It just reminded me of something. Shimoni, got it. I'm sorry if I overreacted. Record purged. No, you're clearly defensive for a reason. I'm very sorry that you haven't been heard out in the past. I'll make sure that goes in the exit report. Sure, I appreciate that, and again, very sorry for biting your head off. Record purged. All that afterlife talk, well, it just took me back to my tactical theology days a little bit, Almost nostalgic. Sure, that's a really cool department. You did afterlife research? Record purged. I did. Sure. Well, we've got a lot left of this hour, and I don't have all that much left to say, so what did I accidentally remind you of? Record purge. Just something from a previous project. I really shouldn't bring this up. Show me. Over my clearance level? Record purged. Not technically, no. Show me. Should I make some popcorn? Record purged. It really, really isn't like that. It's not info hazard or anything, but it's a bad thing to know. Shimoni, you've gotten me curious. Record purge. It's hard to tell a scientist this, but you should stop being curious. It's the kind of thing that you only think that you want to see. Shimoni, now, I'm not too good at puppy dog eyes, but... Record purge. You'd forget it tomorrow anyway. Shimoni laughing. So tell me now. Record purge. You really don't want to read this. Shimoni. Can I be the judge of that? Which, fair enough. But it's also like a paradox. Because, if it's information that you really shouldn't know, if you get to know it to judge whether it's something you really shouldn't know, that means, well, you now know it when you shouldn't. Obviously, there are things that you can do to work your way into it, like instead of just being like, oh, here's the entire case file. You could be like, it goes over this and that, and this is kind of the implications, and but it's like, let me be the judge if I should know it. And it's like, oh, I really shouldn't have known that. Record purged. Fine, let me pull it up. Record purged produces and hands Dr. Obed Shimoni the write-up for SCP-6130, which I guess I should have had pulled up. Let's see. I think it's a 6001, so we'll want... Yeah, I need to go one further. And the number was 6130. 6130. There we go. In Hell We Live. Like I said, I went over this earlier, which is why I really should have this pulled up over. So I knew it was there already. I didn't actually read it, but I did open it. So that's there. But, the name gives you a little bit of an idea what it might be about. And this is a good instance of what I was talking about earlier, which obviously I was setting up for this, where it's like, even though this SCP-8209 specifically calls out skip 6130, that does not mean that the actual article for SCP 6130 has to also acknowledge this one. They can be different continuities. It just so happens that this one has its own instance of SCP 6130, whereas the main article of 6130 does not necessarily have to acknowledge this one. The only way that you can say for certain a SCP is contemporaneous with any other SCP is when it's specifically mentioned within its own article. Continuity. Fun. Approximately a minute and a half of silence follows. Shimoni. Everyone? Record purged. Forever. Shimoni. But I'm Jewish. I don't believe in hell. Record purged. If I don't believe in oceans, what does that change? Shimoni. Oh my God. Heavy breathing. I'm not going to do it. Shimoni. Ho Feng Shan? Record purge. Yes. Shimoni. I don't know. I don't know Lincoln? Record purge. Yes. Shimoni. My little brother? Record purge. Trust me, I took it hard too. Shimoni walks over to the closet and grabs a small box, opening to reveal a small array of trays filled with pills. He dumps some at random in his hand. Record purge. What the hell are you about to take? Shimoni. I literally went back to find how to pronounce that. Anesthetics. Want some? Record purge. There's no way you can find the right dose that quickly. Shimoni. I don't care if this shit takes me back to kindergarten. Record purge. You should care. Your time here is important. Shimoni. What? Record purge. Think about it, Doctor. It's the only time you or anyone else is ever allowed to be happy. Shimoni sighs and dumps the pills into the box. Shimoni. I'm being a coward. Record purge. I'm so sorry. Shimoni. Don't be. I forced your hand. Record purge. Well, maybe. But I think that there's a part of me that wanted to show you. I've just kept it a secret for so long. Shimoni. God. Record purge. It's been a hard few decades. You've got a hard few decades ahead of you. Shimoni. And a harder eternity. Record purge. Well, that you're not alone in. Shimoni. Will I be able to see my family down there? Record purge. I don't know. All I know is what's on that sheet I showed you. Shimoni. I might need to be alone for a while. Record purge. I understand. Shimoni. Right. Before you leave, though, I guess I'd like to retract my resignation if that's an option. Record purge. Are you sure? It'd be great to have you back, but... Shimoni. Yes. I think I could do some good here, whatever that makes of me. Record purge. All right. Welcome back, Doctor. Shimoni forces a smile. Incident ZBDA 34 is considered resolved. Rabbi Issachar Levy. Sender, Dr. Oded Shimoni. Hey, it's Friday night, so I know it's going to be a while before you see this. I don't think I'm making it to Yom Kippur. But I've got good news and bad news. I can't tell you the bad news, but good news that I'm repairing the world. Third Council Meeting, January 16th. Council Member Dr. Oded Shimoni enters the Intermin City Council Chambers, defined as a 100-square-foot plot at the center of Habakkuk 2. Shimoni. It is 11:59 p.m. on January 15th, as I have the backing of 1/3, me alone, or more of the Habakkuk 2 City Council, and am the chairman of the Habakkuk 2 City Council. I invoke my right under municipal law to schedule a special city council with 1 day or more of notice. I schedule the special city council session to be held at 12:01 a.m. on January 16th. Shimoni checks his watch. Waits. Checks his watch again. Shimoni, it is now 12:01 on January 16th. I call this meeting of the Habakkuk 2 City Council to order. The quorum requirements for special city council sessions require that no more than 2 members of the Habakkuk 2 City Council be absent. Exactly 2 members of the Habakkuk 2 City Council are absent. We have reached quorum. We will now vote on Councilman Shimoni's legislation. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Aye. Carried. I move that we adjourn the special city council session. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Aye. Carried. Shimoni withdraws his sidearm from his belt and shoots himself under the chin. I put my hands out because I did not want to make any motions towards replicating that. Thank you very much. In the January 16th special city council session, the following sentences were added to the Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code. All clauses within the Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code that provide for criminal penalties for any action, actions, or states of being and were passed on or before January 15th, 2021 are henceforth null and void. As of 12:05 a.m. on January 15th, 2021, neither Habakkuk 2 City Council nor any citizen of Habakkuk 2 nor any other body is authorized to make any changes to the Habakkuk 2 Municipal Code. The act of death is universally criminal, punishable by 10,000 years in paradise, renewable at will. Well now. And footnotes. We understand that the publication of communication between Dr. Shimoni and Rabbi Levy may make readers concerned about the confidentiality of discussions with chaplains. There is no reason to be concerned. And 2. The fire suppression department does not file exit reports. Okay. And this loops back around to this very first one where it's just, it's just here. Description, anomalous phenomena commencing on that date in which the individual capable of reincarnation uniformly experienced a deep sense of bliss upon returning to life. I think 10,000 years in paradise would do that. Also, with the whole, this confirms within the own article that reincarnation does happen, I have to ask, when you reincarnate, what happens to that? Because in theory, the thing that it says is that you can at any time reinitiate the 10,000 years of paradise. So, you come back alive. Does that mean I guess technically you are no longer dead, and so no longer have you committed the crime, but technically you did die. It's not saying, or did say being dead. No, the act of death. So dying itself is the crime. Though also, I'm nitpicking at it, because I'm like, is it actual death, or is it simply being dead that is the crime? Which I think is actually a better one for him to have been. So the act of being dead is universally criminal in the punishable by... Obviously this works for the SCP as it is. I'm just being a bit of a nitpick again, as I've been throughout the entire thing. Otherwise, I do actually think this is a really high quality skip. I enjoyed the story very much. And I'm excited to see some more. Since this is one of the new ones, the next one should be just a popular one I remember for the moment. Anyway, please consider subscribing if you want to see more of this or any of my other content I do. I do general reactions to some stuff. I did theories for a little bit. Maybe do more of that at some point. I don't know. And other stuff. But yeah, I'm going to try to be consistent with putting up reads of the SCP Foundation. So yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell, because YouTube hates telling you when people you've specifically said you want more of do more. It's weird. This is Akhier, and I'm signing off.